Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I am going to share with you my TBR for December. Before I get started, just a disclaimer that you will probably be hearing a little kid playing. My daughter is playing next door in her bedroom, and she is playing as quietly as she knows how to, but you probably will hear her. So I have a small pile of books here that are on my official TBR that I want to try to get read in the first couple of weeks of December, and I want to leave the last couple of weeks of December for more kind of like seasonal mood reading. So I don't have a TBR for the entire month because I just wanted to read whatever strikes my fancy. So the first thing on my TBR, and I'm not too concerned whether I actually finish this in December or whether I continue to read this in 2022, but that is Monster, She Wrote, The Women Who Pioneered Horror and Speculative Fiction by Lisa Kroger and Melanie R. Anderson. I started this towards the end, maybe the middle of October, because spooky season. And I've continued reading it through November. It's a nonfiction, so it fit for nonfiction November. And I will continue reading it throughout December, and like I said, maybe even into January. It's a book that you can easily pick through because it just kind of goes through each woman in a couple of pages about their life, about the types of things that they wrote and where they got their inspiration and how they contributed to speculative fiction and those types of things. So this is one where I don't really feel pressed to finish it in any particular time because it's one, like I said, that you can easily kind of pick through slowly. So I only have 3 other books on my TBR, and I'm really only concerned with reading the first one in December for sure because it is part of my book club that I run with my friends, and that's The Color Purple by Alice Walker. I don't think I really need to introduce this book. It's super famous, and it's one of those books that I've always been meaning to get to and just haven't, and so many people have said such beautiful things about it. And then it was on the list for my book club of possibilities to read this year, and I got chosen. And I have to read it because I'm leading the discussion, and I have to read it the very first few days of December because we're meeting early to mid-December to talk about it. So this is the only one on my list that isn't absolutely, I have to get to it, and I have to get to it soon. But I'm very much looking forward to this. If you don't know, it is about 2 sisters, and I forget where they live exactly. It doesn't say it on the jacket either, it just says living in the South. But they are separated. One moves to Africa and one remains in the South. And I just know that this is going to be heart-wrenching in a lot of different ways. I do think, though, from what I've heard other people say about this book, that it's not all sadness. There is hope and love at the center of this as well. But yeah, so this has been on my list for a very long time and happy to get to it this year. The next book I had on my 10 books to read in 2021 list, which I put out in January, and it's the last one that I have to read. That's not true. Out of the 10 books I chose, there were 2 that I just don't have access to. But out of the 8 remaining books on that list of 10, this is the last one I haven't read yet, and that's Silver Sparrow by Tayari Jones. So this is another book about sisters. These sisters, well, one knows the other exists, and one does not know about the other family. So their father is a bigamist, and like I just mentioned, there is one family who knows that the father has another family, but that family does not know about the existence of the second wife or the second daughter. And I'm assuming that at some point they are going to become aware of each other because otherwise, where's the story? I think it's becoming apparent that I like stories about sisters and sisterhood. So this is kind of a interesting take on that, considering they are sisters but don't live together, and one of them doesn't even know the other exists, and I'm sure it's going to be full of tension and probably some awkwardness. But yeah, that sounds like a really interesting read. and it's the last on my books to read this year that I made for myself. And then the last book I would like to read in December is Washington Black by Edugyan. And I forget how this got on my radar. Someone had talked about it, and then I saw it, I think at the local used bookstore here, and snatched it up because I recognized it. And this is the last book I have to read for the BookTube Spin. That is a reading initiative, I guess you could call it, hosted by Rick McDonnell. So this is the one that came up for me for the last quarter of the year, and I still haven't gotten to it yet because I had so much to read in October and November, and then before you know it, it's December. So I would still like to read it as part of the BookTube Spin, because then I would have read all of my spins, which I'm very much a completionist, so that would make me happy. Anyways, about this book. It is about a young enslaved boy, and I think he is a boy. I think he's probably 10 or 11 or something. 11. And named Washington Black, and he finds himself a servant on this ship with a servant to, I guess, an adventurer, a naturalist. How do they describe him? A naturalist, an explorer, an inventor, and an abolitionist. So he becomes servant to that man. And somehow a man is killed, and I think Washington Black is suspected of the crime or accused of the crime. And I believe Washington Black and the man who he's a servant to, Christopher Wilde, kind of take flight. And it follows their journey, their exploration. It just sounded really intriguing, and I typically enjoy historical fiction, so it sounds like something that is going to align with my book tastes. So those are the things on my TBR. Like I said, I am also going to be leaving some room for just some mood reading. Around the end of the year, I get kind of in the wintry, Christmassy, cozy type of mood. So I'll probably pick up a fun, cozy middle grade or something that is just going to enliven my spirits a little bit. Please let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.